Hello and welcome to a new Onix webinar, the first one of its kind in 2026, where we do a new series. We give you a new webinar every month. Today, I'm the one hosting this webinar, and my name is Frederick. I work as a product manager here at Onix, and I will bring you through this webinar, which is about how to get more value from Onix. First, some practical information. It is a 45-minute long webinar, and that is included a Q&A at the end. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat that you see on your right side. There you have two options. You can send questions in a public chat. Those are the questions that we will include in the Q&A. But you also have the option to send a private question. Those questions we will handle after the webinar and get back to you. This webinar is recorded. So we ship out the webinar to anyone who has signed up for this webinar. So if you have to leave early or you want to share this with your colleague, don't you worry, we will send it to you afterwards. Okay, that's good. I think that was all of the practical information. Now let's get started with the content. How to get more value from Onix. We will talk about briefly in the beginning now just about the platform overview. We will look into dashboards, Onix Tool Store, and Onix Worker. Those are features and applications that is part of the Onix software family, and they are more relevant to equipment owners. So we will look at those. I will shortly show you some key bullet points in the presentation before we actually dive into some live demonstration of these different features. And make sure to stick out to the end, because I will also share some very handy tips for everyday best practice use of Onix. Okay, let's start by looking at the platform overview. Onix is unique in its way of sharing equipment data with your partners. As you probably already know, you can create connections with your supplier, your inspectors, and they don't have to manually fill out equipment over and over again because you simply share it with your partners. Here you can see we have three main segments. As I just mentioned, the suppliers, equipment owners, and inspectors. We are now focusing on the middle part, the equipment owners, where we will look at dashboards within Onix Work. We will look at Onix Tool Store, how you can track equipment, and Onix Worker, which is the mobile app for the user and the operator of equipment. Let's start off with dashboards. Dashboards is a way for you to get the key data that you want presented efficiently to you. We have standard dashboards within the system, tailor-made for each segment, but we also allow you to create your own dashboards. These dashboards can filter on almost any kind of equipment information, be it issues, due dates, general information about active status, is it discarded, what location is it on, and also other information related to tool store, projects, and so on. The goal is to help you get the quick overview of what you need of key information. The dashboard can be, it is available in Onix Work, but is also available in Onix Worker, the mobile app, which I will also show you later on. We have Tool Store, the app for equipment tracking in real time. If you have a location where you want to track what equipment is being brought out and returned and what is not being returned, then Tool Store is your application. It has four main value points to why you should use Tool Store. It gives you a better overview. It allows you to see who has rented which equipment, where is that equipment currently rented out to, and it also allows you to see if equipment isn't returned in time, if it needs repairing, and so on. It also makes the renting of equipment more efficient. You can imagine old-fashioned ways of renting equipment. It's often the locked room. Somebody needs to be there with a key. Somebody needs to open the book, bring out the pen, write down who is renting what equipment. It is not very time consuming. And then obviously we have the cost efficiency, because you will be having a better overview of what equipment is rented out where. So you can avoid missing or losing or even somebody stealing equipment from your tool shed, because you know who rented the equipment. And also the safety aspect. Tool store will stop you from renting out equipment if it's not approved for use. So let's say you rented out equipment today, it's being used, and on return, somebody mentions it being damaged. So you flag the equipment. The next time somebody wants to rent this equipment, the system will not allow it until you have fixed this issue. And for live GPS tracking, we also integrate with ABAX, which allows you to fit tags on the equipment that gives you a GPS location, so you get full overview of your equipment. All of this we will look more into in the demonstration. And finally, the mobile app for the worker. Onix Work is a big software or big platform involving a lot of different functionality. This application you're looking at right here is aimed to only introduce the features that is relevant for the field worker, the person actually using the equipment. It contains the general functionality of being able to search for equipment, see information as documents, and so on, but also allows you to do pre-work checklists, preventive maintenance, flag issues on equipment, and fix those issues. All the functionality that you need from a field worker. On top of that, we also recently introduced the possibility to rent equipment directly from the worker app, meaning you don't need the tool store application physically in front of you. You can go ahead and rent that equipment from your personal application Onix Worker. All of this we will take a look at in a demonstration, and we will start with the first one being dashboard. Right here. Dashboards you will find on the top of Onix Work, also in the mobile app, which I will show you later. It is a module available to anyone. And when you first enter dashboards, you will see on the top left that you have some different views or types of dashboards. Standard is available to anyone using Onix. These are tailored to the different segments. Right now, I have chosen the equipment owner one. And what you see here is key data that you might want to have an overview on in your dashboard. All of this information you can simply hover over with your cursor to get more details on. And you can also click on this information to see more detailed data. For example, what are the 61 equipment in Rotterdam? We click on this pie, and we are brought into the equipment module where we are seeing now 61 equipment. All this information is available as a drill down, meaning you can dive into the information and work directly with the data that is relevant for you. We also allow you to create your own dashboards. If you want to create your own dashboards, I highly recommend making good views in the different modules first, because what the dashboards do is collecting data from those different views and presenting it to you in the dashboard. So for example, in my equipment module, I have created two views. One for all of our tagged equipment and one for the not tagged equipment. Now, if you are wondering how to create views, you can find videos on how to do that on our YouTube channel. I will not cover that in this webinar. But here I have created these two views. Now, what I can do is, if I go back to dashboards, I can now create an overview of all of my tagged equipment and not tagged equipment, because I want all of our equipment in my company to be tagged with a QR code, an RFID tag, or an NFC tag. So I go to my top left, I click on Create New Dashboard. Give it a name. And we start off by adding widgets. These are the different tables and diagrams that you saw in the previous dashboard. Now on the right side here, this is where we decide what kind of information do we want to bring into our widgets. And my example right now was equipment from you. So I add the first one. I hover over to the widget where I start to edit the widget. And I now select the view that I want to collect information from. I scroll down till I find the view that I just shared with you. Let's start off with tagged equipment. On the top here, I can name it tagged equipment. We can also go ahead and group it. We might want to see tagged equipment per location, like this. And on the bottom here, we can choose what type. Let's go with the donut. And then we go over here and we drag it to be a bit bigger. So right now, I can see very quickly, okay, we have 20 tagged equipment, and they are separated on these different locations. In Aberdeen, we have 8, and so on and so on. But what is even more important for me in this dashboard is to see what equipment is not tagged. So I go ahead and I add a new widget from equipment from you. I added this one. I go ahead and I find my view called not tagged equipment. Again, I group it on location. Here you can group it on wherever you want. And donut again and click save. We have a big job in tagging our equipment in this company. And just click done editing. Now I have a new dashboard. Now this was a very simple demonstration to you, but I think you understood the essence of creating your own dashboards and collecting the data that is relevant for you. Now the point is that we can now go ahead and work from this. This gives us an overview. Okay, I see that in Rotterdam we have 60 equipment that isn't tagged. I click on that one. I'm brought into the equipment module. I'm presented 60 equipment. None of these are tagged. So then I go ahead. I give out the message to anybody working on the field. They bring with them a roll of Onix ID in their pocket. They bring their phone, an Onix worker application, and they can go ahead and tag this equipment. And when it is tagged, what you will see is in this column right here, you can see there's no icon for tagged equipment. It will end up showing this tag icon right here. Meaning I can quickly scan any tag to find this equipment in my applications. Okay, that is how to create a dashboard. Now, before we move on from dashboards, I want to show you some of the other ways that you can use dashboard. For example, in relation to Toolstore, which I will dive into very soon. So I mentioned in my brief introduction in the PowerPoint slide that Toolstore allows you to keep an overview of what equipment is being rented in and out of a tool shed or a location. And some of the key information that you want to know then is, well, you want to know what information or what equipment is actually in that tool store. So that is what we have here. We have the total amount of equipment, 60. There is 17 that is checked out. And there is currently 43 checked in. And these are all divided by these control categories. We also want to know what equipment has gone overdue on its return date. Only 6 equipment. One of them is rented by Frederick. And so on. You can see in the pie chart here, the different people who has done the different. We do not want to do any updates on our surface right now. And also you can see just in general what equipment is checked out on different people, not necessarily overdue, but we can see the information here. And expected return date. When you do rent or check out equipment from Toolstore, you normally don't have it very long. Maybe it's just for a work week or maybe just for a day. So as we can see here, all of the equipment that is expected returned is within March. And then maybe also we care about the safety of that equipment. So we want to make sure that it's safe to use, that is within its mandatory due date, and that there isn't any open issues that can cause any safety hazard. So we also have an overview of this. But let's say we then want to dive into this information. Okay, I can see that Nabil, he has rented 5 equipment. I click on this column, I'm brought into the equipment module, and these are the 5 equipment that Nabil is currently renting. And then I can go in and see more details, like the expected return date, place to be used. This is a location that we currently are working on, so I know these 3 equipment are at, this location. He also added a comment, so this is all related to a work order, things like this. Some of the equipment we will not have the detailed information because they are not unique equipment. This is equipment that goes on what we call a consumable. So it's you rent it out and then maybe you throw it out. Or maybe you just rent it out in quantity and return it, like in this case, where it's a wrench and gloves, where you expect it to be returned, but it's not unique equipment. It goes by quantity, which again, I will show you when we dive into Toolstore. Okay, so these are the benefits from dashboards. It gives you a quick overview of key data, and it allows you to dive into that data to work more efficiently. Let's move on to Toolstore. So let's take a look at how we can do checkout and check-in of equipment in Toolstore. Now, before I start clicking about in Toolstore, there are some information that is good to know before we start clicking. And the one thing is that you can set up Toolstore to be in a served mode, meaning that people sit behind a desk, have their Toolstore on their computer, people approach them, and they work in Toolstore on behalf of the people renting the equipment. Or it can be self-served. So you can just have an iPad, for example, laying on a table, the door is unlocked, people can go in and check out equipment as they want themselves. They just quickly register it in the Toolstores by themselves. I will show you both ways. I will start off by showing the served mode. It is the most efficient way of handling high traffic in the Toolstore. So the first screen you are presented with is the users. And I will change this to English. So I am currently now working in this location, behind the desk, having Toolstore in front of me. And the person that approaches me that wants to rent equipment, his name is Nabil. So then I can search for him by name. Maybe he has an employee ID, or if he had a key card with an RFID tag, you could also then just scan the cards to identify the person. In this case, I just manually search for the name. I click on Nabil, and the first thing I'm presented is what equipment he already has rented on him, because in this transaction, he might bring some equipment with him, and he might want to rent some new equipment. So let's go by that scenario. So Nabil, he is done using this ROV hook and done using this fall arrest vest. So we just quickly add them to the list. And since these are already checked out equipment, if you see over here on the right side, the system knows that this is going to be checked in. Now we want to check out some new equipment. So then we can scan tags on equipment by RFID if we want, or QR codes, or we can search manually. If we want to search manually, we just have to make sure that we change this view to not only show checked out equipment by this user, but to show available equipment only. We also want to make sure that we update this information so it added automatically when we add equipment to the basket. So I will ask Nabil, how long do you want to have this equipment? He will tell me he will have it just to tomorrow. And he will use it on a project we have going over at Sandnes. And this is all related to a PO or a work order, what you want to call it. And we type in that as well, just for reference when we later on want to gather some information. Click Save. Now we start searching for the equipment that he wants to rent. Obviously, we can just scroll through this list, or we can search more specifically. Maybe he wants a fall arrest vest. This one, it doesn't automatically know if it's going to be checked out or in. That can be different reasons, but if we then select check out, it will then adopt the information from the checkout additional information. Maybe he lost his pair of gloves. He wants some more gloves to check out. Now this is in Norwegian, but it's gloves. You can see that by the picture. So he wants a new pair of gloves. We click on that one. Now gloves, as I mentioned earlier, showing you in the dashboard, in the equipment module, they are not unique equipment. We don't care about serial numbers and so on. We handle this in batches. So we just add the amount of gloves that he wants to rent or check out. So we can obviously adjust right here, or it's just one pair of gloves added to the list. Now he's happy. We've done a quick check-in of existing equipment and checked out new equipment. So we just click on complete. And we are brought back to the list where we can handle the next person that wants to rent some equipment. One thing I did forget to show you right now is if we go back to Nabil, and let's say next day he's now returning his fall arrests, but there was an issue with it. There was a tear on the fiber, so we need to make sure this is not being rented out again. Then we can go over here in the list, click on these three buttons, click on new issue, and quickly just to describe like this. If another person now wants to rent a fall arrest vest, and we by mistake pick this one and search for it, the system will stop you from doing that. Okay, that is the served mode. Now there are scenarios where people approach you and they are not already in the list. Well, then you can just quickly click on the plus icon right here. You can create them quickly. You can scan their card ID to link the RFID card. The next time they approach you, you can just scan the card quickly like this. Now let's say we move into the self-served. This is where you don't have anybody working behind the desk. You have full trust in your employees. They are able to sign out or check out equipment on their own. So I sign out from the served mode, and I'm now in a non-served mode. Now what you will see from this process, that it is a lot more steps, because you have to go about the assumption that the people coming to this tool store have never seen tool store application before. They have not been trained in using it. They need to be guided through the process. So the first page is just identifying. Again, we can click down here to scan the access card, or we can go by, for example, employee ID. Enter, and the person is identified. Again, if somebody who has never been using Toolstore, they are not a employee in your company, maybe they are external, so they are not in the user list, and they get to this page, maybe they try on a phone number or email. If the system doesn't recognize the information that you enter, you can then go ahead, click create new user, and they fill this out, and then they move on to the checkout process. In my case, I'm a user in the system, and I'm brought to this screen. Here, very simple, checkout or check-in. What you will notice is that you will not be able to do check-in and check-out at the same time like we did with the served mode. So instead, we have to do the check-in first. Here, we find the equipment that we want to check in. Scanning, QR code, RFID, or we manually search. Here we can choose the view checked out equipment by logged in user. That will give me the same overview that we did in served mode, only here we have to manually search for it. But here I can see all equipment that I have checked out. Some of these are grayed out because they have been lost. I did not find them, so they are discarded in the system. The one I actually want to return is this vest right here. So I add this one, and that's it. I click confirm and sign out. That was a check-in process. The checkout is very similar, but it allows me then to add information about where and how long I want this equipment. So I go to checkout, same process. I search manually down here. Let's say available equipment only. I want some gloves as well. Actually, I want 2 pairs of gloves. I want a wrench. And I want this ROV hook. Any equipment that is not approved for use will have this red area on it. It doesn't allow me to select it if I'm clicking on it. Now, some of you might ask the question, why is this one not flagged? We only focus on the mandatory due date. In this case, there is an interval for operator maintenance, which can be just a pre-use check or a daily checklist that you fill out. If that one is missed, it's okay, because it might mean that you want to do this specific inspection after you checked it out, so we allow for that. Once you have selected the equipment, again, you click Add. This is your basket. We click Continue, and then you have this step. Expect to return it, place to be used, and a comment if you want that, and click Continue. Overview, confirm, done. So that is ToolStore. Served mode or self-served, it's up to you. All of this information, all of this equipment data that you see in ToolStore, it is linked to your Onix Work account. So you want to create a location on your Onix Work account called something as general as ToolStore. Maybe you have different areas where you want ToolStore. In that case, you name it differently. Maybe you add location A, location B, location C. You add equipment to those locations. When you set up your ToolStore, you decide what location to link it towards. I want to link this ToolStore to location A, and then the equipment that you see in the ToolStore is all of the location on, all of the equipment on location A. Very simple, and it's a one-time setup, and then quick to use. Okay, then we will move on to the final application, the mobile app, Onix Worker. Let me just clean up this screen a little bit. Here we have Onix Worker. I am now, to be able to present it to you, I'm showing it to you in the browser through a beta version. You will not be able to use it in the browser, but I'm doing it for presentation. It's much easier than to share my phone with you guys. But you will be using this on your phone. So you can download it through the App Store or Google Play. And you log on with your Onix account, and this is what you see. Now, the key features and the reasons why you want to use Onix Worker, there are 4 reasons. 1, you just want to generally look up information on an equipment. It can be that it's the first time you're using this type of equipment. You might want to read the user manual. In that case, you can scan a QR code, an RFID tag, or you can manually search for the equipment by going to the equipment module. You go over here to the search bar. You can search manually here in this text field, or you have other search filters over here on the right side where you click on filter, where you can search on all of these different locations. So let me see if I can find a location for you guys right now. Let's say we belong to Aberdeen, for example. Apply and apply. And then we have equipment for Aberdeen. We can go ahead and we can find documentation or information on this equipment by clicking on it. In this tab right here, for example, going to documents, finding the instructions, clicking on that, and seeing directly on your mobile app. And of course, it can be other information that you want to gather. Is it approved for use? Is it within its due date? Things like this. The third reason why you want to use the application is because you need to do a checklist, a job on equipment. It can be preventive maintenance, or it can be a pre-use check. Let's continue with the truck example. On this case, you have the quick view by just sliding your finger, going to view job, or sorry, new job, where you decide if it's a prevent job. Let's just do an operator, and we have the checklist that is created on our account. Weekly maintenance of forklift. We click on that one. A job has been created. We have a 3-stepper right here on how to fill it out. And now, obviously, I didn't mention this, but I think you already know the way this is laid out is a bit different when you're on the phone. I'm obviously now on the browser on the computer, so it's stretched out. But when you're on your phone, it looks more compact and even better than what you're seeing right here. 3 steps. Details, first of all. There might be some instructions for me to read. Job details. We can link it to order number. This is the interval we're currently addressing. I click on continue. That brings me to the checklists. Here we have shortcuts. We can fill out the entire checklist by going over here and then just choosing a section, or sorry, a status. We don't want to do that. We want to go by section. So the engine and chassis, everything's okay here. We click on the question marks to give it an okay. Maybe on the wheels there are some damage. It's a flat tire. In that case, we can click twice on the question mark, or we can just click on this line. That opens the checkpoint. Here there could be a procedure. Maybe it could tell me what pressure the tire should be on, so I know how much to fill it. In this case, it doesn't show me, but I can add a comment. Something like this. Well, this will give me a non-conformity. And then you always have the option to solve it straight away. I will not be able to solve this flat tire straight away, so I can't do that. But in cases where there's small fixes, maybe there was a blinking light on the dashboard and you were able to quickly remove that, then you can solve it. But in that case, you have at least logged the issue, but it doesn't create an open issue on the equipment. And then obviously we can go ahead and we can add pictures as well. When you're on your mobile app, you can do this by camera or by uploading files like on computer here. And as well on the mobile app, when you take a picture, you can start drawing, indicating on the picture specifically what it is that you are trying to show. We click save. We're brought back to the checklist. We go through the rest of these checkpoints. We have some of these shortcuts also per section right here. Okay. And down here also just quickly okay. You can always track your process on the top. Now we have filled out 100%. We click on continue. We have a general status on the job that will reflect on the worst status in the checklist, which was the non-conformity flat tire. We can add a general comment and we can just click complete. Like so. So that was the second reason why you should use this mobile app. Now the third one is just to quickly register issues on the equipment. So let's say, for example, on this shackle that I have been using, maybe I did a lift with this shackle, I was not paying attention, and I slammed the equipment into a beam, and it hit on the shackle to give it a damage. In that case, we want to flag that. So we swipe again. We don't do new job. We just go straight to new issue. So we describe it again. Yeah, what do you put there? Damage to shackle, just a very general one. You can see the issue owner right here. The default one is just your company, but maybe you have someone specific in your company that does any follow-up on damaged equipment. In that case, you can change the issue owner to people, and you can choose that person. Add a comment, add a picture, draw on your picture, whatever you need to explain the issue, and click save. You can save it as a draft. You want to come back to this later. You can say that it's already, or you can say to do, meaning Chris Larson has to do a follow-up on this, or maybe you already solved it, but in this case, save as to do. So now this shackle will have this issue on it. That was 3 reasons. The 4th reason is that you are actually able to, if you have a tool store license, you are able to check out equipment with your Onix Worker app. We want to make sure the Onix Worker app is your personal application. And you're already logged on to your application, so we know who you are. So the steps of actually checking out equipment using Worker instead of Tool Store is a bit quicker. So, for example, now let's change our filter a little bit. We don't want to look up Aberdeen anymore. We want to go to a location called Tool Store, because all of this equipment belongs to a tool store. And we can, from here, start checking out equipment. But let's say the case is this. The location of this tool store is quite a travel away from me. I don't want to make that travel all the way over to that location to find out the equipment is not available within that location. So I can actually go into my Onix Worker app and check the status on the equipment before making the travel over to the location. So I can find any equipment. Let's say this safety harness, for example. I click on it. I go down to the section called Tool Store. This one is checked in. It's available for me. In cases where it wasn't checked in, I can say who has checked out the equipment and when it was checked out. I can even see the place. Equipment. Okay, so let's find equipment that we want to check out. This safety harness, for example. Very close to wrapping up here now. So in this case, this one equipment we were not able to check out. We can go ahead and try and find another one. Maybe this one. This one is available. So we click on checkout, and then we're brought straight to this page where we add additional information. We no longer have to go through the process of identifying ourselves, then search for the equipment, because we've already done that. So I can just add the new place to be used. Click continue on the bottom right here. I get the summary and confirm. And now this equipment is checked out on my name. So the next person visiting this equipment, checking the status in Tool Store, can see this is checked out by Frederick on this date, expected return date, and place to be used. So those are the 4 key reasons why you should start using the Onix Worker mobile app. It is your personal device and it has a lot of good value for you. Okay, that was the demonstration. Let's move on to some of those key. Let me see if I can share my screen again, just to show you some other tricks to be used when you use Onix to make it work better for you. So these are some tips and tricks. Create views to help users see relevant data. As I showed you, when I wanted to create a new dashboard, I also created a new view. Now, these views are very helpful to your employees or you as a user to quickly find equipment that is relevant for you. We have views both in the equipment module, the issues module, jobs modules, in different modules, so you can create views to make it more efficient for yourself. These views that you create, you can also share them with different roles. So only the people that is sort of should have access to this view gets the access. The next point is about keeping your data structured to make it easier to gather information into views. So use location and area on equipment. Location and area is self-explanatory. It's the geographical location and area of the equipment. User groups is equipment that you physically group together. Maybe there can be a car in your company, and in that car you have different equipment that belongs to that car. Well, then you create a group. You name that group, the name of the car and the registration number, and then you link all the equipment. That way you can just search for the car and you get all the equipment. And then we also have what we call keywords. Keywords is a is a new word in the system, but the concept is actually not that new. It's basically just being able to add a keyword to equipment so that you can search for equipment more efficiently. So let's say you work for Equinor, and in Equinor you have equipment that belongs to set of 15, so temporary equipment. Now, if you want to get a quick overview of all of your set of 15 equipment on your platform, just tag all the equipment with the keyword, and that way you can just search set of 15 and you get all the equipment belonging to that. Marking equipment. As you know, Onix support tags. It can be QR tags, RFID tags, or NFC tags. We recommend that you tag your equipment because it gives the people using the equipment quicker access to key information, but it also means that people that don't have a license on your Onix account can scan that QR code and get key and important information. Also relevant to cleaning up your data, mark scrapped and inactive equipment. My tip to you is the next time you have your annual inspection and the inspection is done, you can tell your inspector, can you please go ahead and set everything that you did not find to missing, and everything that you scrapped, set it to scrapped in the system. That way I don't have to see equipment that we're not using anymore when I do general searches in the system. It helps you get better data when navigating in Onix. And then we have roles. Roles is relatively new. I think it's about 2 or 3 years ago that we introduced it. You know that you can set privilege on users, but you can also create roles and then add users to those roles. So you only need to set those privileges once. It makes it easier for yourself who needs to decide what kind of access your users have, but it also makes it easier for the user themselves to not have access to things that they don't need to have access to. It could be something as simple as not being able to edit information in the equipment module. You are only able to view information there. You should not be able to edit anything. Well, then you create a role called viewers or view only, and then you add those users to that role. Okay, those were some simple tricks that can make your Onix platform even better. Now it's time for a Q&A. I see 4 private chats or 4 private questions. I will not take those now. I do not see any public questions. I see that Kjetil, or actually, yes, you had a question, Finn Magne, and I will just translate this for the people. I think this question came quite early, so I think it's dashboard related, but let's see. Is this only your own equipment, or is it also possible for inspectors to do this on your customers' equipment? And if we're talking about dashboard, then yes, you can filter out dashboards on your customers. So when you create the view that I showed you, when you set up the view, you can also set up who the equipment owner is. So let's say you wanted to create a dashboard for the due dates throughout the year for this one customer, because you want to be able to plan when do we want to make these trips to this customer to inspect their equipment. You can do that. You create a view that's showing the due date throughout the year, and you filter that on the equipment owner or your customer. So you can do that. How do we order tags for equipment? Good question, Tore. We have what we call an Onix shop. Simply just Google Onix shop or visit onix.com. On the top, you will find a link to the Onix shop. In there, you will see all of the products that we have. Most of those products are stored locally here in the Stavanger office, so we can quickly ship it to you. If it has some delay on the shipment, we don't have it in stock, you will see it on the website. So it's just like going on any e-commerce website to do some shopping. You will see the tags, read about them, find out which tags is suitable for your equipment, and you can quickly order them to your location. Or you can pick it up here at our office. Yes, Kjetil just added a quick link to the shop. Thank you very much. Okay, so I see that most of you are quite shy because the amount of questions in the private chat is increasing quite heavily, but we don't have many public chats, which is fine. It just means that we will not be able to answer those questions in public now, but we will get in touch with you so that you will have those questions answered after this webinar. Exactly when, I don't know, but we hope to get back to you within a couple of days. Okay, then I will say quickly thank you for all of you participating in this webinar. I hope you found it beneficial. As I mentioned, we will do this every month, a new webinar, new tips and tricks. Make sure to stay on top of that, be part of it. And maybe I'm the one to do it the next time. Maybe it's a colleague of mine. Either way, I will say see you soon, and thank you for participating. Bye-bye.